first like Insta Live ever.
Is it?
Yeah, I hardly get on Instagram.
Yeah. Okay, so we are live right now. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Adam Adkisson. I'm on the City Council here in Coalinga. I'm going to be interviewing Andrea Rosas. Andrea is a candidate for District 2, I believe. You'll be running up against Jim Horn. For those that don't know, that seat is currently held by our mayor, Mayor Lander. He has decided that he will be retiring after this, and so he'll be done once the next election comes around. And that's been a long time. He's been on the council for about 20-something years. So we wish him well, and it's going to be weird to see him off the council.
That is going to be weird. This is weird.
I just decided to do this because ballots have already went out. I want to make sure that Coalinga is informed before they send in their ballots. There's also going to be a candidates night on October 15th, so I would encourage everyone to watch that and make your educated decision after that. Here's Andrea. Andrea, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Andrea Rosas. I'm running for District 2. I'm born and raised here in Coalinga. I grew up on Madison Street, go Toads, all that good stuff. I have 4 beautiful baby girls and one on the way. So I have them from high school all the way down to the boy we're actually having. And I haven't really gone public with that, but we're super excited. Well, I've always been involved in our community. I've tried to get involved in as many things as I can. And it started from realizing that if I don't go out and do something personally, I don't feel like things get done all the time. I feel like a lot of people have great ideas and no one actually takes the initiative to make their ideas into something. So for me, when my daughter was in preschool, she's now in high school, but when she was in preschool, I wanted my kids to do Friends Clubs, Pioneer Club. It used to be a church group like Presbyterian, not Presbyterian, but I grew up across the street from that church, so it was something I attended every Wednesday growing up. It's something I wanted my kids to do. And there was just no one able or willing to be able to teach that class at that age. There's really nothing for our preschoolers to do at that age here in Coalinga. So I decided, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll teach the class. And the same thing happened with Zumba class. My kids were under the age of 12 and they wanted to Zumba. You can't do any of the classes unless you're over the age of 12, I believe, at the gym. I don't know how it works at the new gym, the fitness center, but I know at the CHRPD one, it was one of those where you have to be 12 to join the classes. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to become an instructor. I became Coalinga's first Zumba Kids instructor. Nice. And I got my business license, I want to say maybe 6 years ago, yeah. And I partnered up with the Imaginarium, started classes, gave them out to the kids for cheap as I could.
That's great. I've seen some posts recently from you where you have offered Zumba classes to some of the kids in town. Are you still doing that, or what's up with that?
Well, I did it for 6 weeks and I had really low participation. So if it was something that people were really, really interested in, and it's something I am willing to do again. I love teaching Zumba kids. I love teaching dance, the cumbia, the salsa. That's one of my passions is dance. Mm-hmm. And I love to give our kids something to do. It was a free class I was offering, and it's something that I would love to do again because I do it on my spare time. Right now I'm not able to anymore, but
did you tell everyone how many weeks pregnant you are?
Oh, I'm 21 weeks now.
Yeah, so it might be a little hard to do Zumba.
Yeah,
I don't know if your back would handle that so well.
The squats that don't come up anymore.
Right.
But it is something that I do love to do. I've always been really ambitious. I've always organized events for free for our community. I've helped the city with their events sometimes. I actually did that Get Up Challenge that we had the PD, the fire participate, and I think even you, some of the city council member jumped in. I've always loved to just do that kind of stuff, and I love this town, and I think it just takes people who are willing to do the work and do more than just talk for this town to thrive.
So I guess that kind of goes on the next question, which is why do you want to be on council? I mean, I think you kind of touched on that a little bit. Do you have anything else to add to that? What do you think you'll bring to the position of a council member? I'll tell you right now, it's a completely thankless job. You'll be criticized no matter what you do, no matter what decision you make. No one will be happy, but that's okay. You want to be there and you want to do what's best for Coalinga. So, what do you think you'll bring to the job, and why is it that you chose to be on council, or why is it that you want to be on council?
Well, I don't feel it's like something that I really want, something more of a need. I feel like Coalinga needs change. We need someone who's connected with the people and who's willing to listen and bring forth ideas and action. We've seen so many people use council for their personal gain, for their agendas, and I just feel like we need someone who isn't playing games and someone who isn't just going to sit there and be a yes man. We need more. Our town needs more, and I'm willing to be that person for Coalinga.
Okay. So, what do you think right now in the city of Coalinga? What are the biggest issues right now in your mind, and what are some things? What are your top priorities, and how will you address those issues and those priorities?
We do. I feel like my top priorities are my biggest issues, like business in town. We have a lot of businesses struggling. They need help, and I feel like if I'm elected, I can use my past experience to help bring those events that the city used to do. I'm willing to volunteer the work. I'm willing to put the footwork in. I'm willing to put the hard work in on my spare time and do what needs to be done so that we can get those in the farmers market. It's something Coalinga lost. That was a great event. We used to have a great turnout, and it's something that has just slowly, our events have slowly dwindled away in Coalinga, and I feel like we need to be able to do more things to support our local businesses and help them thrive here in Coalinga.
Okay. Sounds good. Keep going if you have
Sorry,
something
yeah,
else.
I do have a couple more. I think another big issue that we have are gangs. We should, talk to police more who have more experience and maybe see about starting some kind of our own task force here in Coalinga, maybe partnering with Huron to see if we can be able to do more search warrants, if we can do maybe more cameras for the town, more lighting. It's one of those things that I feel is very important for Coalinga. And we need something for our kids. Kids are a huge priority for Coalinga. We don't have anything for our young children, and on top of that, the older we get, there's just it gets crazy. So we need things like programs. We need volunteers. We need to do something to get these kids off the street, and that's one of the things that I am on council. I'm definitely willing to look into and put the work into, because it's something that I'm very passionate about as our children.
Very good. Very good. Let's talk about some things that are going on around the country and around the state, especially, and that's BLM, their movement, and some of the movement out there that is calling for defunding of the police. We've seen in a lot of cities, especially bigger ones, where we slash police budgets. In Coalinga, our police and fire receive approximately 75% of our total budget. What is your thoughts on BLM? One, what is your thoughts on defunding the police?
Well, I do support Black Lives Matter. I'm against police brutality and systemic racism. And I mean, is anyone really for police brutality or racism? That's what it means to me. It's not about black and white. It's about fairness and equality. People of color getting the same sentences and not getting shot down for having hairbrushes. I think no matter the crime, they all deserve to have a fair trial. It's our right here. It's our right. Mm-hmm. And I just think that it's one of those things that doesn't really apply to Coalinga, because our Coalinga PD aren't shooting people down in the streets. We don't have those kind of crimes here. It's not something that we deal with here, but it is something that we deal with on a country level. And I've said this before, I do not support defunding Coalinga PD. We're lucky that the crime we have is not as bad, even though it is rising in Coalinga. It's not as bad as let's say LA or any of these bigger cities. Fresno, we don't have those kind of issues. I mean, they are starting to come up more, but they're not that bad yet.
Right.
I feel like it's something that our police can still handle, given the resources, given them the right tools. I think that our PD actually needs more funding, maybe special funding allocated to gang prevention, stuff like that.
Okay. Let's go on to something that does affect Coalinga directly, and that is the issue of cannabis. What are your thoughts on cannabis, and should the city expand the number of cannabis businesses that are in the city? Should we hold where we're at? Should we try and get fewer? What are your thoughts on that? And let's talk about that first.
Okay. Well, I do fully support the cannabis industry. I think any business willing to come to Coalinga and offer jobs that we should be grateful for. We've lost so much with our hospital closing, Kmart closing. I was actually one of those people who lost their job, got laid off at CRMC. I was there the last day, handed a pink slip when our lab closed.
So you know all about that.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of those things that hits home to me. We need jobs, we need opportunities, and the cannabis industry pay really well, more than minimum wage for starting out positions in most places. I think if we want jobs, we need these companies with more and more places like Hanford and Lemoore and Fresno opening up. We need to stay current with the market and taxes.
Right.
You know, if they leave, how would we make up the income that we get from them?
Exactly.
I mean, it's a double-edged sword because some people don't like it, some people do. It's one of those things where we need them to keep up where we're at.
Right. So that kind of brings me to my next question. That's about cannabis taxes. When you look at the state as a whole, and you look at some of our tax policies regarding cannabis, you'll see that we're on the higher side of the taxes. And while we rely heavily on cannabis to bring in revenue for the city, would you consider possibly lowering taxes in some areas of the cannabis industry in order to bring in more cannabis businesses that would actually expand our revenue base from the cannabis industry? Would you consider lowering taxes, or would you want them to stay where they're at and we can just deal with what we have now?
I mean, how do we expect people to come in Coalinga, open up businesses and be here and be involved in our community when we're not helping them out? Like I said, they offer a lot of jobs. I don't even know how many Ocean Grown has right now. I don't know how many Green Wave has, or all these other new companies. I think we have that Red Dragon coming in. How many jobs have they provided Coalinga so far, and are we willing to lose those over a few tax dollars?
Right.
It's one of those things where maybe we're losing a little bit with each company, but we're able to have more companies come in because we have a competitive tax rate.
Okay, very good. Let's bring it back to Coalinga. For a while, for many years, Coalinga was in debt. And just recently we got out of debt. We'll see where we end up after all this COVID stuff. Is there any reason that you would vote for a budget that accumulated debt? If so, why would you vote for a budget that accumulated debt? Or would you try and make every budget balanced and try and create a savings? What would you want to see? If you had to vote for the budget, if you had to vote for a budget and it had debt to it, why would you vote for a budget with debt?
I mean, looking at all the facts and going over a budget extensively, I mean, obviously you would try to see where there was any cuts overall. We can't allow our citizens to go without, and it's a tough call, but we would need to find a balanced budget that works for our citizens and for our town. I realize in a perfect world everyone would be happy, but when it comes to money, no one's ever really happy.
Right.
So.
Okay. Another issue with Coalinga that I think is one of our biggest issues is that of gangs and violence. We've seen it quite a bit over the last year. The state hasn't helped us at all with that. They've made some laws that have just tied our PD's hands behind their backs. They've incorporated zero bail into this whole thing. It's just been a mess. But there are some things that we can do on the city side. Have you thought about combating gang violence, and have you thought about things you could bring to the table that might help with that?
Actually, I went down to the police station after I started selling the masks. I went down there to offer a couple free masks to some of the officers. and to get a tour and talk to them about stats and all what's going on. And it was interesting. I got to hear what one of the officers had to say, and that's what kind of brought me to the idea of starting our own task force. They said for Avenel, they started their own kind of task force,
Right.
and that's been really helpful to them. And they said maybe partnering with Coalinga and doing something like that, maybe monthly or every 2 months, being able to do search warrants, it would really help the crime in Coalinga.
Mm-hmm.
They explained to me what that would do, how that would work. It's something I guess that they've been thinking about. I think it's an amazing idea. I think they're talking about maybe 3 officers from Huron, 3 from Coalinga, lieutenants from each side. They go Huron once a month, Coalinga once a month. I mean, why aren't we doing things like this? We
Right.
need something against gang violence. We need more with all these deaths coming up. I can't even tell you how many kids I've seen my age or even younger than me, teenagers, high school kids dying over, you
Okay.
know, this
Nothing.
gang stuff. It's really nothing, and it's crazy. I feel like we need to be able to have more solutions. Working with our PD will be one of those. Hearing what they have to say, I feel like they have the more experience, and they'd be able to tell me exactly more what they would need to, to combat that. And that's one of the things that I definitely would listen to.
A big issue in Coalinga is something that everybody wants, and it's code enforcement and animal control. Believe me, you're going to hear all about it.
Oh, I see.
So, what do you plan to do about that? How do you feel about them? They both cost money, and they both cost a lot of money. So what would you do to try and get animal control and code enforcement here in Coalinga?
That's one of those things that goes back to budget and what we really need. I feel like Gimme Love Shelter is doing an excellent job, and I think instead of getting another animal control officer, what we should do is get them more funding and maybe get them more people to help them do their job more efficiently.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough position.
It is. It's a tough one.
You can go into debt, or you can make everyone happy and hire, but
Right.
it's not gonna. It'll hurt the budget. So, in closing, do you have any other last things you want to say to Coalinga and why they should vote for you?
Well, I mean, being young and being involved in our community, I've learned to appreciate the people, the men and the women that have came before me and have sat on the council. They've had to make tough choices, and it's not easy. And I have great ideas, and I'm willing to take on the task. I'm ready to work. I speak with conviction when I say that everything I've done to improve has brought me to this moment, to show Coalinga that we can be great, that we can't go back to how it was, but maybe we can make something better, a future for our kids. We can do more. We can have a voice, transparency. And you know, I'm not a politician. I'm far from it.
I know all about that.
I'm just a Coalinga citizen who wants to do more.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, I appreciate you coming over here, and I'm glad that the people of Coalinga will have a chance to see you and hear what you had to say before they put their vote in. I would also encourage everyone on October 15th to watch the Candidates Night. The Chamber will be putting that on. My only reason for doing this is to let the people see what their choices are, since the ballots have already come out. I don't have I don't have bad intentions from this, no matter what some people say. If you believe that, then that's your problem, not mine. So if you refuse to come here because you think I'm going to attack you, then you're wrong. I'll have more candidates coming up in the next couple days. Thanks for tuning in. Love you all, Coalinga. See y'all later.
Bye, guys.